All right, guys, another thoughts of the week. A few subjects this week. I've been spending a little bit more time reading stuff lately. Not more than usual or less than usual. It's just I've actually been looking at different stuff for a change. I'm normally very business focused. The first one is this Omicron thing. It's a bit weird, the media circus on it, because they're sort of going, well, it spreads faster, but it's not as dangerous. And then they're going, I think it's World Health Organization saying the booster doesn't have any effect or whatever. Somebody else can fill those gaps in the comments. But it's then followed up with that the antibodies people have built up seem to be the key thing why it's affecting people less. Which then goes, hang on, but a lot of the articles don't even mention your jabs. So what we're saying, that more people than we're told were affected or infected, and yeah, it's all a bit peculiar. And the problem I find with it is because the Omicron hasn't been as devastating and doom and gloom as the media would love, it's on the churn, trying to give some justification for excessive measures, etc., etc. And it just reminds me of, when you catch somebody lying, and they're lying, but you can't be bothered to argue with them. So they'll say something, you go, okay, and you move on to the next thing. You're not interested, you know you're wasting your time. And then they'll reinforce the lie with something else. You go, it's okay. And then they'll continue to do it. That's what this feels like. You're just like, okay, I don't trust you. I believe you've been lying through your teeth. I believe you're on the scaremongering tactics. I believe you're driving this home, regardless of the consequence. That's my personal opinion. But I really don't want to hear constant lies, which is what this feels like. In my personal opinion, I do stress that. These are my personal opinions. Yeah, even today, they're still driving it. And I'm reading an article at the minute around cars in the UK. Started off because the second-hand car market's gone through the roof because of I believe there's a shortage on semiconductors. Whether that's true or not is another thing. Because like many things in the world, although there is a shortage, the shortage is whether it's a real shortage or one that's been market-driven in the sense of somebody stopped production for whatever reasons, normally financial. But the point being is the second-hand car market's going through the roof. Costs have gone up, I think, 14% in some areas in a short period of time, and they've gone up again. And the US has got the same issue. Personally, I'm expecting the market to just crash. Not anytime soon, because you've still got people coming off furlough in the UK. You've still got people that have banked a lot of money, so they'll be looking for a car because they ain't been on holiday and things like that. And that's the next big asset people buy. Unless they're getting an extension to the house or whatever, which they'd have done during the COVID period if they could get hold of a builder, because there was supply shortages literally everywhere, from labour to metal sheets, toilet cubicles, you name it. There's shortages on everything. But the point being is the second-hand car market may be worth hanging on to if you want to buy a second-hand car. Waiting for the market to crash. And I'm not on about the 500 quid car, because I'm sure the 500 quid car is still about 500 quid. But you're talking stuff off forecourts that are second hand, which obviously are a bit pricier. I'm looking at Teslas at the minute, umming and ahhing, because to be fair, I don't do enough mileage to justify the cost of a Tesla. The only reason I get one is for here in Spain is the very, very low maintenance in comparison to the combustion engine. But I'm not in a rush for spending £50,000 on a car, because it'll take me a while to get that cash back. Definitely with consulting, because I've got a lot more mileage to cover. But at the moment where I am, I've got plane, train, and everything else is local. everything's about, I think, 9 miles the furthest place. I've got 43 schools to look after. So I'm not doing the mileage I normally would do in a similar role elsewhere. But anyway, moving past that one. But the point is, I do think the market's going to change. I think there will be a massive jump in the market where suddenly the new cars become available as everything catches up, as markets do. And then suddenly the second-hand price market will have a surplus, because suddenly people realise there's good deals on new cars because everything's starting, the wheels start turning again. I may just dump them, which gives some good opportunity if you're looking for a second-hand car. But that's one of the other things I was looking at today. The other one on public transport is there seems to be this drive in the UK where people own nothing. They're on about it with cars as private car usage. It's a bit weird because it's normally idiots that don't actually use a car excessively, or they're not part of the group that's affected, because it happens in racial equality and other areas where you get somebody that's PC that is often not in part of that demographic they're dictating about. Now it's all like, oh, we'll put everybody on public transport. Doesn't work. Just ask people that are on public transport going into London in the morning and trying to get home at night. It is jam-packed. You get to the point where you're stuck at the stations. They won't let you go down into the underground because there's too many people down there in case you start falling onto the tracks. So don't tell me, oh, well, we'll just put people on public transport. Very short-sighted, narrow window, win an election type nonsense. Reality is, a bit like myself, I've got 43 schools to look after. I do not hop from here to there to here to there. I'll go around and I'll do 6 to 15 schools in a day. But public transport, I'll be lucky to do 4. It's not a well thought out plan at all. It's just that, like I said, these people only think in a very narrow way. Now, don't get me wrong, self-driving Teslas where people are picked up, dropped off, I may even buy one of those myself because they actually pay for my car. But generally, I don't think it's so easy. For the average person, I don't think it's so easy. It's the same with going e-cars and all this sort of stuff. When you look at the cost, a lot of the vehicles are way outside the acceptable costs of the average person in the UK. It's a lot of investment. You've got the charging point issues. You've got the fact that it may not even be really viable. Where a 500 quid car to get you to the factory and back is, compared to a £40,000 car that you can afford a mortgage, but you're going to need one to buy the car. So that's, like I said, that's a peculiar one for me because I don't think they've thought it out. Now, there is other solutions coming in. I think the hydrogen cars, once they're fully ready and in hitting the market, I think will be a major alternative to the electric ones. May even drive some sales on the electrics into the second-hand car market, especially for long-distance driving. So we'll see where that goes. The other side of that being that I think the combustion engines, will still be here for the next 20, 30 years. Because, see, the other thing is, when you take a market demand away, for example, you inject electric cars, hydrogen cars, diesel cars, petrol cars become surplus. They then become cheap. And the fuel costs, in theory, become cheap because you've moved the market. So in theory, you could actually be creating a market that will still be there for a long time to come, even though we've got to throw them out the city and all this sort of stuff. Don't know if you guys remember the UK government driving for the going diesel and the four-wheel drive market, and then hammering people to death with taxes, and then all the emission controls and that start coming in. So I'm sure the car market is very trusting of the government in the UK because they've been hammered before. So I do think there will be drops in prices of e-cars, but you need them to start hitting the second-hand market to drive costs down, which ain't going to happen anytime soon. Hydrogen cars, be interesting when they hit the market, and then retrofitting cars. For example, you rip the engine out, put a direct drive motor in, and refit it so it's a e-module. So you basically get rid of the combustion engine, fuel tank, and all that stuff, but keeping the original car. I could see some of that happening, but even then, the big costs are in the batteries and the technology. So who knows? But I do think we're in a funny stage where, like myself, I'm looking at it, but then I go, 50 grand for a car that I'll hardly use. Not sure I want one. They go, public transport, can't use it, it's unreliable. I remember at Worcester, you can only get a return ticket after 9 o'clock. Well, when do most people go to their work? Before 9. Which then made it, financially, didn't make sense for a lot of people to get the bus. And bizarrely, overpricing tickets for a lot of people that are in manual labour jobs, like cleaning, factory working, etc., is counterproductive. Because those are the 500 quid cars that you could easily get rid of if public transport was actually good. But it's not. And it never has been. So, yeah, peculiar state of affairs. Yeah, so me, I'm just sitting. It's a funny thing, the last couple of days, bearing in mind I've been back for a week and a half now. Last day and a half, I've actually had time to actually think about other stuff beyond sorting the house out and work stuff. Although the work stuff's very different to normal. Normally I'll be working on future planning for work and whatever. I scrapped all that now. My future planning is around surveying, drones, LiDAR, and other tech, because I want to get into the consulting game, and I'm going to look at it because I want it from a tech-based angle. Something that's actually interesting. To be fair, I'm getting bored, very bored, of the business as usual stuff. I hate all that. I like evolving things. So doing LiDAR scanning with drones, internal scanners, external scanners, creating 3D models, then injecting information, like, for example, say the ceiling fan, or the aircon's easier, the air conditioning. So you should be able to touch that, and it will have its service records, it will have its maintenance manual, have its gas registers, when it was last gassed, what gas is in it, all these useful things. I know you guys go, that's boring. Guys, that's what I do for a living. I assess all the assets in the building. I'll tell you when that's going to get replaced and when it's due to get replaced. I'll tell you how much it's going to cost when it gets replaced. I work out the costs with indexation, predicted indexation costs for the markets, for inflation, etc. And I work out how much that'll cost for this one, probably in 15 years' time. And I predict it for buildings, and I regularly assess buildings and work out where things are failing early, things are working well, and then I adjust the models. Because if these run longer, because they're Mitsubishi compared to a Chinese cheaper version, guess what? The model's different, because the Chinese one may work 5 years, this one 15. So you've got 10 years difference between them. So if you've got excessive Chinese ones, it's going to cost more. If you've got more Mitsubishi ones, it's going to cost you more when you do the purchase, but you may find that you've got a third saving on the reliability and the extended life because they'll last longer than the cheaper version. Yawn. No, that's what I do. That's basically what I do on a large scale. I do it for every element on the building, even the sewers. I work out the life of the sewage pipes. So yeah, it's been good to get back to Spain. It's been good to spend a lot of time with the family. And do you know what? This is as much IT as I've used since I've been in Spain. Only on my phone. I haven't even brought my laptops. That's the first in over a decade. I've normally always got my laptop with me. But when do I normally not have my laptop?
Because of the pings.
No. Yeah, but I normally have it with me, but it must be at least since we got married, I've always had a laptop, haven't I? Yeah, so yeah, well over a decade. But it's been good, kept disconnected. And we've set up the bench upstairs now, but even then, got the computers up and running, got the Wi-Fi set up, and sort of left it. I've got a bit tidy up because, luckily enough, the electrics in Spain, the circuits are all connected. I normally like to separate them because I've got 3 floors. I just have 3 socket circuits, 3 lighting circuits. But this socket, I've got one of these little, where is it? I've got the box here. TP-Link connectors. So basically these work on the electrics. So I can connect the Wi-Fi on the roof, on the top floor. So I plug one in downstairs and I plug one in upstairs. And if they're on the same electric circuit as their diagram is showing, it means they can actually find each other. And it runs your network through the electric circuit. Which means my router on the roof, which is a pretty fast router, and this one I think we've got 600 meg speed on here, and the network's 1,000, and the router upstairs 600. Means we've got a fast network all the way through the house. So yeah, that was worth doing because up until yesterday I threw a cable out the window downstairs just over the Christmas and whatever, just to get everything up and running. Because the Mac upstairs, for example, hadn't had any updates for months, because thanks to COVID. So the machines were sort of left on, updating and whatever, and now I'll be busy using them for gaming while I've just been carrying on regardless, moving stuff as usual. So what else have I got to say today? The outsourcing industry. It's interesting because I still see remnants of the call centre stuff. Now, for me, I thought a lot of that would start phasing out. That's me being a bit short-sighted on it, maybe because I don't like the call centre industry, which sounds a bit ironic, or because obviously I still own a call centre building and I ran a call centre. But the point being, it's not a market I like. I originally went into it doing data manipulation, and then we ended up taking whatever money was available, and we made some pretty good money out of it. But I'm still seeing that market ain't going to change. Let's be honest. I like speaking to a person on the phone. I am not interested in talking to a computer. You know, I hate all that. I like speaking to people. I'm not too fussed on whether in India or the UK. Used to be, because the amount of stuff that got messed up at the HSBC by people in India, they made my life difficult, to be fair. And then they moved all the branch phone numbers, so you had to go through the main call centre, which made it very difficult to get hold of your branch. Because I had to unravel some of the stuff that the guys in India had done. No, it's not racism, guys. It was actually guys in India signing off things they didn't have the authorization because there were branch decisions. So they would do it, and then the branch would undo it. And then I'd be sat there going, "Where's my money?" Because the branch has undone it, and I'd have to make an appointment with the branch, which had to go through the Indian call centre. Which is all right if you're in the same town, but often I work nationwide, so booking an appointment and everything was painful. So although I was expecting the call centre industry to die a death, I think it's going to keep evolving. I think there's still going to be a need for it. Rob Dayton is a prime example. Rob Dayton, a friend of mine, he's doing a lot of sales and stuff on his business actually growing using call centre workers. So I have to say the market's still there. So I'm, like I says, hang on a minute, I'm going to put this down while I make my coffee. I know I'm nattering on today. But I do get the feeling that I may have to start looking at setting mine back up again. I don't want to do telesales, to be fair. I hate sales. I am interested in technology side. I'm interested in maybe doing, to be fair, sales side, it wouldn't be me that would be answering the phone or what anyway. It would be people working in the call centre. So maybe I'll get other people to do it. Like last time with the stuff for the solar panels and stuff, it wasn't actually me doing all the work. I was just making the money and taking all the risk on the bills. Bad clients don't pay, I still paid the guys. That's what gets me when people go, "Oh, you make all the money." It's like, yes, I do make all the money, but when we lose all the money, I also pay that as well. And give all the computers, the desks, the office space. So yeah. I mean, that gets onto another conversation about the percentage of the people that actually generate the money for businesses. Because although everybody has a function in the business, there's often only a small percentage that actually generate the majority of the income for a business. The whole Barclays financial investment piece, where they say, "Oh, it's unethical." No, I don't believe in ethics. It's banking. Banking doesn't do ethics. If they can manipulate to make a fortune, yeah, you have to look at if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's about 5 people, I think it was, Barclays was generating most of the profit. Because they're manipulating all the markets, moving money through the Cayman Islands and everything else. Didn't do anything illegal. They just know the systems very well. Because that's why they paid lots of money. Same as O.J. Simpson's lawyer. It's because they know how to manipulate it. Doesn't mean that they're honest. It just means they're very clever. I've got no issues with that. It's like a lot of people assume just pay your taxes. The smart people don't say just pay your taxes. They pay for good accountants. And the good accountants will tell you how to get your money. It's just that when they're all doing the same thing, that's when they get caught. This is why you normally find a group of footballers or whatever caught, because they're all using the same good accountant. But there's always loops. And the thing is, they'll close one and another one will open somewhere else. And that's basically accountants and the tax man are cat and mouse. It's not, oh, just pay your tax. Tax man would love that. Just pay us everything. Because they don't care. They don't care. But financially, you need to be a bit more astute and just realise it's cat and mouse. Don't roll over and just die on the floor. Think smarter. Look at other opportunities. But yeah, the Barclays ones, there's a lot of tax evasion and stuff on there. But they call it tax evasion, or the sort of the pretty words they use for it. And to be fair, I have no issue with it as long as it's within the law. Don't get me wrong, I don't agree with when the councils were investing it in Icelandic banks and things like that, because that's not their money. What you do with your money is up to you. But what the governments do with our money is different, because it's not theirs. It's a bit different. But anyway, that's enough nattering on that stuff today. But yeah, great being back in Spain. And one of the things I'll say about coming here is, I was talking to a couple of friends, Arena and Keenan, because Arena was on about it, is before she starts work, she'll go down to the beach, they'll have the coffee and that. It's the same routine I have here in Spain, basically. You start the day by taking everything down, nice and quiet, relaxing. You have your coffee by the beach, waves coming back and forwards, sun's out, and then you go up and it sets you up for the day. Too many people rush at the start of the day, and to be fair, I get up at 6:30 most mornings. In a working week, I'll be up at 6:30 every day. And I don't start work. I was before, and this is the thing, I've changed a lot of my habits. I don't start work till 8:30 now. The first couple of hours of the day are mine. So I'll sit and watch the news, I'll sit and read something, message the wife, just start the day stepping into it instead of going full throttle. I'm looking going back to the gym when I get back to the UK. Probably start going about 5 in the morning, because I like to go when there's nobody in there. And I'll start building that into my routine. But yeah, sort of looking at things from a more relaxed, not relaxed, is it relaxed, constructive perspective. Because I'm normally business focused and drive everything for the business. Don't get me wrong, they got me 9 till 5. That's theirs. But what I'm not doing is the 6:30 till 10 o'clock at night, which is what basically was going on along with the weekends, because it's sorting out a lot of the problems in the business. No longer my problems. It's the company's issues. But it has left some gaps, because it's generating my time. It's giving me my time back, which is mine. And I do say to you guys about managing your time and making time for yourselves. And this is a prime example. I'm doing this for myself now. Because previously, who's ringing the phone? Somebody's got a phone upstairs. I'm not going to shout. I'll say, answer your bloody phone. So I'm making time for myself, which is getting back into the routine of doing things that are important to me. Which is a big shift, because normally a lot of the contracts I work on are sort of to rescue the contracts. So I focus on turning the things around, and then I'll leave, maybe take a few months off, and then move into the next contract. But the setup I have for the company I'm with at the minute, I've been there over nearly 2.5 years. Bizarrely, on one contract. I'd normally change contracts every 3 months, fixing things. Even within the same companies, it was contract to contract to contract. So now this is a different routine for me, something I'm very unusual, not used to. And I'm sort of stepping back a bit. I'm going, right, going forward, I want to start getting my health back to where it was. Because a lot of you guys won't be aware, I had a bit of a heart issue earlier this year, basically through fatigue and overworking. So I've stepped back a bit after that event, but at the same time recognising, A, the root cause, B, the changes I want to make. So there's some key ones for me. You may find it useful to talk about this, you may not. First one is, like I said, exercising more. I've already changed my eating habits. I have a lot of fresh smoothies. I have at least 1 to 2 smoothies a day, which are often green smoothies, not all fruit. You've got to watch the sugar content in fruit ones. So I have those daily. That sort of injects my healthy vitamins and all that sort of stuff. Exercise is the next big one, which where I am in Northampton, I've got to admit, I do not like Northampton as a place. I find it's a group of villages that become a town. But like the town centre's very dated. Seems to be an excessive amount of homeless people in it. It's just not a nice environment. Which sort of makes it difficult because even like when the weather's good, you think I'll go down in the park. But because there's so many HMOs, which are the multi-occupancy houses, there's a ridiculous amount of people that go as soon as any good weather. So I don't generally go anywhere near, Northampton, just work there. Want to do some shopping, go to Milton Keynes, visit friends in Rugby, Corby, Birmingham. I don't like the environment in Northampton at all. It's just bleak. I mean, I'm not sort of knocking it for knocking its sake. I've worked all over the place, and it's got to be the worst place I've worked at. But anyway, so the point is, the gym I'm dropping in to try and when I go back, that'll start becoming my morning routine. I already get up early anyway, so start that in the morning. Fitness regime starts coming back in, and once I get into it, I'll just constantly do it. Next thing is I'm looking at my MRICS and my MSIPC, which is the membership of Chartered Institute of Building Services Engineers and a member of the Royal Institute of Chart Surveyors. Both of them are very laborious tasks to get through to the next level. The good thing is I actually found my SIPC paperwork here, which may help make my transition to member a bit easier, or associate or chartered engineer. So there's a fair bit of work to do on those. Talking to a friend who's currently doing the RICS one, and he says he's got Pathway, which is a 2-year process. But to be fair, I got to that point in my career where I'm thinking, do I knock it on the head? If I want to go back into consultancy, should I basically build it up to a level where it's sort of evolving into stuff I want to do? I want to do the 3D modelling. I want to work on more interesting projects. I want to work on the drones and a lot more robotic type stuff. Not robotic is in very process driven, but actually using technology a lot more. So part of rubber stamping that is adding some accreditation to myself. Hence the 2 hours in the morning. I'm going to be quite busy mornings. I'm still going to spend time, have a chat with the wife in the morning. But instead of watching the COVID updates, or as we call it, the news, I will be more focused on actually getting through the next stages of my assessments and getting through to becoming MRICS and MSIPC. And like I said, I'm looking at the call centre. We're looking at a water purification system in the Philippines where we sell water, basically, drinking water. We've got a Wi-Fi company there that got hit lovely in the typhoon. But I'm just about to help my brother-in-law out there as well, because he got it fairly extensive and they've been hit hard. I'm going to talk to him about managing his business better financially, so that when these things happen, you're up and running within days again, rather than going, can I borrow some money? Because you shouldn't be doing that. But that comes with practice, training, and understanding risks. But anyway, guys, I'm going to go because you may hear the kids are waking up and they're getting quite loud and the phones keep ringing. So I'll catch you guys later. Take it easy.